Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. Death Watch here. And today we're going to continue that discussion about the whole Japanese McDonald's ad that has a lot of essentially a certain demographic of the online leftist apparatus highly upset, right? And mainly those people are the so called self proclaimed now single income with no kids females, right? Or for short, sinks, right? These are women who, if you look up these people, right, there's been plenty of videos, plenty of people who have done kind of like the whole TikTok compilation where they look at these types of different groups of people with all these same hashtags, right? And really what it is a bunch of older single women who are essentially coping, right? Some of these younger girls are, doing the whole day in the life of a, young fertile woman who's not getting married and all this other crap, trying to make it look like, oh yeah, I'm a hot sexy girl boss, I'm doing what I want whenever I want, yada yada yada. However, when you look at the more older women, right, the future of that whole girl boss lifestyle, right, no, it's a bunch of women kind of coping with the fact that they are childless. They have no more boyfriends, right? Because the guys who they dated in the past, well, guess what? They all were like, hey, I can just go and get a younger girl, or this relationship is really just a fling. I don't really care for it, right? They left and now they're single, right? Nobody else is trying to get with them, right? And then on top of that, right, all their female friends are also left their circles because they have families of their own. They got married, they had children, and now they don't have time for the girls' nights anymore, right? And so it's just a huge, several different stories, all kind of pointing to the exact same thing. Is that these women were also these type of BS feminist theorists, Sex in the City lifestyle, and now it is starting to bite them in the butt. But instead of them kind of like realizing that, hey, I made a few mistakes, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're single, you're unmarried, whatever, right? You don't want to have children, that's you, right? You can go live your life the way that you want. However, when I see it, whenever I see these videos, it's copium, right? What my issue with it is that you are then trying to cope with the fact that you made mistakes in your life, and now you're trying to push these social media ads and try to target more younger girls to try to tell them that, hey, look at my life, everything is okay, everything's fine, this is still the type of life that you want to live with, right? And that's really the crux of this argument, right? Why are people kind of attacking the ideas of the nuclear family, right? Because when you go back and you look into the midterms of the kind of exit polls of the 2020 midterm election, right? You clearly see that when it comes to the married and the married men and women population, well, they overtly voted for the Republican Party. When it came to the single unmarried population, well, overall, unmarried men voted for the GOP. When it came to the unmarried female demographic here in America, well, 68 to 70% of them went for the Democratic Party, right? So it is clear enough to anybody that it is the unmarried single female demographic here in America that is getting the Democrats over the finish line, right? And this has bigger implications because when you look at the bigger ideology that is pushing this, right, mainly looking back at this kind of article we're going to go over here, is that this lady here overtly kind of writes off being a mother, right? She kind of tries to play up the idea of being a mother in today's society is akin to being a slave, or to be a prisoner within the broader sense of being a woman, right? Because she openly says here, scrolling down, it was hard not to see the demands of modern motherhood as inseparable from the broader violence against women in the US. Like, what the absolute unhinged hell are you talking about, right? That being a mother is akin to women facing violence in America, right? Motherhood is is violence, or what is the whole point of this, right? When you read this whole article, all she does is just talk about how men in the past that she has had promiscuous sex with, right? She makes constant allusions to the fact that all she all of her sexual encounters with men have all just been non-consensual and assault, right? But when you really read the article of when she actually, she gives this broader, kind of descriptors, but when she actually gets into actual relationships that she's had, well, no, they were all consensual, right? She talks about how she has a husband or had a husband. She also talks about the first time, right? Later, way down in the article, she talks about how her first kind of, sexual encounter was in high school with a football player, right? And that was consensual, right? And so it's like, so this whole idea of constantly referring to the Me Too movement, constantly bringing up the 2016 election, and then trying to then also juxtapose to, oh, by the way, living my life as a woman is just like, reliving the 2016 election all over, or reliving the Me Too movement, right? It's like, what type of unhinged bullcrap, right? And that's really what it is. It's the marketing, right? When it comes to these sinks, right? They're on social media kind of marketing their failed lives, right? Their failed, meaningless lifestyles to younger women, right? If you guys want to live that independent girl boss life, go ahead, right? But when I watch your videos and I clearly see that, no, you are coping hard and you're still trying to market this off as, I didn't make any mistakes, I'm living my best life ever to younger girls, I'm going to call you out on it, right? And really where all this derives from is this this excerpt right here from the article that Matt Walsh reposted here, where this writer here in this article openly references a woman named Sylvia Federici, right? Where she says, the feminist theorist and co-founder of the Wages for Housework movement, Sylvia Federici writes of women, right? When you look up this person, well, guess what? The main thing that they leave out is that, hey, Federici is considered one of the leading feminist theoreticians in Marxist feminist theory, right? So whenever Republicans come out and say, oh, cultural Marxism is a big, huge issue in modern day academia, right? What happens? All these leftists say, just laugh it off. They pretend like it's not happening, right? And at this point, I always say that, no, these people 100% agree with this ideology. They know it's being taught to young girls, right? All being masquerade as, feminist theory, right? We're just teaching women women's studies. We're just teaching women political science. We're just teaching them gender studies and all this other crap, right? Queer theory and all this critical race theory, right? No, it's all Marxist, because when you go back and look at who are essentially the entrepreneurs, the trailblazers, the people who kind of created these or not these career fields, these academic fields within colleges, right? These all these people can be tied back to some type of Marxist theory, right, or the communist American or European Communist Party, or all these other very far leftist communist political organizations, right? And so it's no surprise when conservatives come out and they say things like, one of the fascinating things about our ongoing political realignment is the massive political incentive Democrats have to keep women unmarried. Okay, this all goes back to who is pushing this, who's pushing these type of ideologies, who's trying to market these type of ideologies to young women. Well, it's all these Marxists, it's all these Marxist feminist theorists masquerading as pro feminist movements, right? Because feminism today is no longer just about equality between the sexes. No, we've openly talked about feminist theory, right? And what they say. They openly say that we live in a systemically oppressive, cis hetero patriarchy, and that the idea of gender roles, right, becoming mothers, wanting to, get married, become a wife, and all this other crap, right? These are all gender roles that the patriarchy have created in order to oppress women, right? So it shouldn't be, it's no wonder, right? When you read these types of articles coming out by these feminist theories and how they try to market all this crap to younger women, they openly try to use very loaded language, very dishonest, bad faith, unhinged reasoning to try to compare and allude to the fact that, hey, being a woman, being a mother in today's society, right? It was hard not to see the demands of modern motherhood as inseparable from the broader violence against women in the United States. How is being a mother in any way, shape, or form violence against, a violent action being taken upon against women? That makes absolutely no sense. It's because this lady lived that whole Sex in the City lifestyle, and she realized real quick that, hey, the men that she was having relationships with only saw her for her body. Surprise, surprise. That when you go around just having promiscuous relationships with meaningless relationships with random people, they're only going to be in it for the sex. Surprise, surprise. And now that you're a mother, guess what? You also have to use your body. You have no right. What she really sits here and says that, the kind of lack of anatomy, right? The lack of anatomy I felt as a mother reiterate everything society taught me to believe about myself since I was a girl, right? No, that's what you believe. That's what you were taught. That's what you were indoctrinated to believe. Right? It's you're a mother. Your primary biological function is to reproduce and have children. Right? That's biology. That's not the patriarchy telling you this. This is what biology is. Right? Again, this whole gender norms and social construct. Right? That feminist theories love to say that all this crap was made up by the patriarchy. Right? No, the whole idea of the social construct bull crap was always based off of the ideas of what each gender the what men and what women were good at and what they weren't good at, right? What their biological functions in society are, and that's what was how society was constructed around that, right? Okay, it's just insufferable to have to listen to this, or to have to listen to these people cope hard and reiterate, because that's really all this is. You watch these videos, you watch all these feminists talk, they're just reiterating, regurgitating all this feminist theory nonsense bullcrap, right? And when you look at the broader ideology, you can clearly see that these people are unhinged whack jobs, and they should not be in these academic fields. They're trying to sell women this type of bullcrap utopian ideology, right? And when it fails, well, then they blame the patriarchy, right? They fail in their life because these ideologies are all a bunch of batshit crazy ideologies. They fail. They always fail, right? Socialism, Marxism, all this crap is always every time it's been implemented, it has failed. So when these women then try to go out and live a lifestyle like that, it is surprise, surprise, it ends up in failure. But instead of them realizing, right, because they can't sit back and say, well, I lived a meaningless, very bad lifestyle. Don't do what I do, because guess what? That means that your feminist Marxist theory was a failure. For them to admit that they lived a meaningless life means that guess what? The Marxist feminist theory that they lived by, the code that they lived by, was also a failure. But you can't allow that to happen. So instead, we're going to cope, we're going to lie, and pretend that our lives are still good, we're still okay. It's all right that we are no longer pursuing that Sex in the City lifestyle because our the well has dried up, right? But we're still going to sit here and market this ideology to younger women, and then try to, again, continue to indoctrinate people, right? And that's really where the issue is the rise in single motherhood, right? Or essentially the rise in single women, and how they are being driven to vote for the Democratic Party, or vote to essentially push for political ideologies or political movements within America or within different European countries that overall is just kind of going to destroy this country, right? Because at the end of the day, who are the people who are pushing a lot of these movements? They are Marxists, right? The Marxists are the ones behind a lot of these movements, behind a lot of these ideologies, behind a lot of these academic studies that are indoctrinating young women. And when they become voting age, well, then guess what? They go out and they vote heavily for policies that overall destroy the functions of the nuclear family here in America, essentially just destroys America as a whole, right? So again, this is really just the bigger picture here, right? Because again, I hate just looking at it saying, oh, hey, cute Japanese McDonald's ad, leftists are so mad, get wrecked, scrubs, right? We gotta look at the bigger issue here. We gotta look at the actual we're just looking at the symptoms, but we gotta actually look at the virus, right? What is the virus that is kind of plaguing this kind of culture war that's going on here? And we need to identify the actual virus, how they are essentially going about and affecting different hosts and inhabitants, and then we need to try to come up with some type of cure, right? And that's really my real drive to doing videos like this and doing more deep dives, because I want to know exactly who, what, and where are pushing these ideologies that we're seeing today. We all need to, right? This is my kind of real gripe when it comes to conservatives, because they always just look at the superficial, right? They only look at the superficial. They only look at the issue when it comes to a head. They don't look at the underlying issues that essentially is kind of constantly feeding into this type of monster, this type of plague that is currently destroying our culture here in America, right? And so, like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, and I'll see you, Patriots, on the battlefield.